Okay. I've waited for so long to say something about this that I really should have said something earlier. In my opinion, I waited way too long to say anything, or is today's rant is just basically about someone that I knew years ago. I played a game called Rec Room with them since I was like 17. I knew them for 5 years before everything went sour. So, the guy that I'm referring to, he went by, I'm currently 22 and it's 2026. We would have to go all the way back from when I was 17. So, the year is 2021. I was playing Rec Room. And I met someone who at the time I thought was a friend of mine. This was like in 2021. So at the time his name was Lofu Nofu. I became friends with him very quickly. Like very quick. Almost too quick, to be honest. Okay, so essentially I was friends with Lofu Nofu, and Lofu Nofu was actually a really chill person for the first time that I met him. We played Rec Room together, we played games together. He was primarily about his server. At the time of this recording, or live stream, I found out that Lofu, I believe, was either 15 or 16. I think he was 16 at the time, and I was 17. I want to say that's like because I would not say that we were a year apart, if I remember correctly. But one of the main things I did for him was I moderated his server, and he kind of like gave me a sense of like kind of like a small glimmer of hope because I was going through some stuff. And it wasn't just mentally that I was going through stuff at that time. I was going through stuff financially and just not in the best of my form of life. So You may be asking, Midnight, what happened? Like, why are you just like saying like this person's a friend? Well, the reason why I used to consider him a friend is because he was extremely nice. Extremely nice. The only issue is he had his problems. He had relationship issues at the time. And I believe at one point he even wanted me to get him out of certain. Not to mention, I was going to mental health clinics and I was getting diagnosed with all kinds of different stuff and I was taking all kinds of different medicine. But he knew this, so he took advantage of that. And I'll explain how he took advantage of that here in a second. One day, I was moderating his server. There was an allegation that was going on about me because I was moderating for him. I did not know anything about it at the time. Like, I'm gonna tell everybody flat out, I had no knowledge on this allegation. And to be honest, Lofu, which was at his time name, he knew about the allegation, but he never told me. He kept it a secret from me. The only time he told me that the allegation about me was quote unquote something was when he went on a mic in a public server and basically tried to publicly humiliate me. At the time, I was at the lowest point in my life. And when he did that, I actually hang on a minute. So I was in the lowest point in my life at that time. I went through a lot that bit of time. Snow White pulled up the allegation. So, come on, I can get through this. The way I was manipulated was terrible. Like, I had a person that tried to do things that I cannot describe here. And Snow White decided to take advantage of that by basically trying to publicly humiliate me. He had his other moderators. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I was sobbing. Like, I was actually sobbing when he did this. I did not know what to do. I was not in my mental, like, my mental state now is better than what it was when I was younger. And it showed. I was sobbing really bad. And I believe I got to a point where I was actually beginning to become committed to completely, like, how can I put this? Like, how can I actually put this? I was at a point in my life where I was wanting to myself. I'm not going to say the word because there's a lot of people that I know that go through a lot of mental health related stuff, and I should have at least gave a trigger warning when I said that, or even sounded it, because I was at that point at that time. Like, I actually was planning to myself. Snow White took, well, at the time, Low Food No Food took advantage of that. He took advantage of that hard. He didn't aim for my mental state. He aimed for my heart. What do I mean by that? Well, he went back. He got his other moderators, people I thought that were my friends. They took turns saying how bad I was as a person. And I didn't even know what I did. I actually didn't even know what I did. And what happened was, one of the mods came up, and Lofu knew what they were doing. And that moderator came up to me and told me to my face that, and two other moderators told me the same thing, to which I replied, I'll consider it. Because I was actually considering it. So, what happened after that? I left the server. And I just want to thank the two people that were there by my side. I don't really remember their usernames. But bottom of my heart, I thank both of y'all, because if y'all were not there, I would not be here right now. The day all that happened was the day I was gonna do that. Like, I was actually gonna do that. So, I need to continue the story on this. So, Lofu banned me. It took me months to mentally recover from that. Then, one day, I got a message. He apologized to me. He said, and I'm gonna put this in short words. He was basically like, I'm sorry that I did this to you. I know it was wrong. I know that you got badly hurt from what I said and what the other mods said. But hopefully you don't have hard feelings. Exactly how he put it. To which I used to be so forgiving with people. That I flat out said, okay, I forgive you. That right there was the only act of forgiveness that I gave him. That was one of the only acts of forgiveness. I'll get into that later. So, I get banned. He apologizes. He wants forgiveness. He wants me to forgive him for what he did. I said, okay, I forgive you. He invites me back in the server. Everything was fine. Now, that was when I started to become an adult. I became an adult, so I was 18 at the time, and I believe Snow Lofu was 17. I want to exclaim something, and I want to make this really quick. Lofu, I was never really wanting to do what was stated about 2.0. Lofu knew that I was really protective over people that were friends of mine. He took advantage of that. And he really did take advantage. So, he had beef with Pure Platinum. Pure Platinum was actually one of the most chillest guys that I've met. The only thing I did not like about his server was his moderators. His moderation team at the time, before a certain someone came in and told everybody business, was bad. The moderation team was bad. I was a host / moderator at the time. Or not at the time, but when I was 17, I used to moderate for Pure Platinum. That's how I know. But Snowray took advantage of the fact that I did not like Pure Platinum at the time because I thought, which I legitimately thought Pure Platinum was after me because one of his ex-moderators came up to me in a server and said, "Hey, da-da-da-da-da-da-da, the owner is involved." I'm not going to go into detail what was said because I respect that person's privacy, and they are not online anymore. They can't be online anymore, but I still respect their privacy. So I went back and I told Snowray, which he was trying to transition his name to Snowray at the time. So I was like, "Yo, Snowray, da-da-da-da-da told me da-da-da-da-da-da, and da-da-da-da-da did this." And he said, "You need to get revenge." I said, "Revenge? I don't typically do that." He goes, "Yeah, you need to get revenge." He was basically trying to get me to, dare I say this? I really don't want to say this. Snowright that was his name change. He went from Lofu to Snowright. Lofu Nofu to Snowright, remember that. He went and he said to his... So, what was the only logical thing for Snowright to do? Well, if you said, talk me out of different things, instead of trying to get me to do things that I wasn't supposed to do, then you would be wrong. He went and he knew what he was doing, and I will admit he knew what he was doing, and at the time I acknowledged what I did was wrong. And I did apologize to Pure Platinum. I did apologize to the others about this, but I will say, and this is for my personal defense, if anybody ever asks me this, I will say the same thing. Snowright enticed the whole hacking thing on Pure Platinum. Snowright wanted me to hack Pure Platinum because I had knowledge. I actually took education in coding, and I was the only person he knew. To which I turned around and I said, "Are you going to pay me or do something?" Like, because at the time, he was such a good friend. He was like, he was like, no, I don't have to pay you, but you need to really consider doing it because if da-da-da-da-da said da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da also said da-da-da-da-da, he was adding random people into this whole thing, and it was mentally confusing me. Like, so bad to the point where I could not think straight. So what I did, I said, "Okay, look, I'll talk about it when we're in a group. I want to hear more stories. I need to know what's going on. Snow White goes, oh, no. We'll just talk with the moderation team. Okay, a few weeks roll by, or a few days to a week roll by, and we were over there, and at the time there was a TikTok video of me saying, oh yeah, I know how to hack Pure Platinum. And I want to explain to a bunch of people why I said that. The reason why I said that was Snowwright enticed me onto it. Snowwright was the one who told me flat out that I could do that legally. Legally do that. To which I actually believed him because the research that he was showing me with the photos explained that it was legal. Because I thought Pure Platinum was harassing us and harassing him. I didn't think that through. And I'm truly sorry. Once again, I want to exclaim this. I am truly sorry to Pure Platinum. Even though I've already apologized to you and you said it's okay, I still say I'm sorry for doing that. That was stupid on my part. But I need to continue this story. So Snowwright turns around and says, okay, I want you to get his account and I want you to get his game gone. I said, are you sure? Because I don't think that's legal. I want to explain to everybody I said I don't think that's legal. To where Snowwright turned around and said, oh no, it's legal. Just go ahead and do it. If you can, basically he was saying if I didn't do it, he would get someone else to do it and he would take me down, essentially. So I went and I told Pure Platinum. I think I told one of the moderators, which told Pure Platinum, and then Pure Platinum asked me and questioned me, to which I told him everything. And he told me that I need to get away from Snowwright. That was the first sign that someone ever gave me of getting away from Snowwright. To which I was like, but he's my friend. He's someone that I care about. And that's when things really went downhill. So we're past the whole hacking scenario. Because Snowwright did actually hack like 1 or 2 accounts. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He tried to hack my account when I was younger. Because he was that manipulative. I didn't know it at the time. So I went and I was talking to Snowwright one day. And he was in a relationship with quite a few people at the time too. I think he was in a relationship with one person the day he turned 18 or something like that. 17, 18. Well, that right there I should have been concerned about. But he never really let me see his partner. And if I did see his partner, I don't remember. This is like 2022. This is 2022, 2023. So 2022 was a year of basically trying to keep myself safe. I think I was just starting lithium in 2021, 2022. No, I started lithium when I was like 17. But what does this have to say? Snowwright flat out said, he was like, okay, I can help you through situations. I was like, okay, I helped you through situations, you're gonna help me. Okay, cool. So, what am I referring to? I think I kind of lost track. Oh, his relationships, that's right. So, he was asking me for help. And one of the things he asked was, hey, can you defend me in certain things? And I'm like, okay, what's the allegations? And it was an allegation that I can't say here. And I was such a good friend for him at the time, and I knew his other best friend, which I'm not gonna name out because I don't want to harass him. I don't want anybody to harass him. So what happened? He was like, "Oh, so and so said this," and I was like, "Okay, let me handle it." So I went and I talked to them, and that's when I got my first proof. I could not believe it. I actually didn't. Okay, I'm gonna admit something right now. I saw that proof. It was just one photo. It was just one photo from Discord. I didn't believe it. I flat out didn't believe it. I told the person flat out, I said, I don't think this is legitimate. Oh, but it is legitimate. And look at the picture. Come to find out that person was associated with Pure Platinum. I showed Snowright the picture, to which he turned around and said, oh, I got a picture too. He just randomly pulled out a photo of a message from Pure Platinum with someone else. And I actually thought that was legitimate. Like, that's how manipulated I was when I was around him. Like, I thought I'd say, hey, Snowray, you got some explaining to do. He's like, okay, I'll talk to you. Basically like how I am. So he went and talked about how Pure Platinum always wanted to manipulate him and get him in trouble and all that. And I actually kind of felt sympathy for him. Here's the issue. I didn't acknowledge it. I really did not acknowledge it. But he was indeed doing things that was illegal. So the person that he was dating at that time was 14. At the time, he was 18. I did not know any of that. I actually did not know any of that. At all. Because the person he was with told me that they were 18. So I thought, oh, okay, you're 18, you just sound younger because, well, there's people with a medical condition that has voice boxes and vocal cords that makes them sound younger. I actually know someone in real life that has a voice box defect that makes them sound younger, so I kind of felt sympathy for that person. I was like, oh, okay, that's okay then. I didn't know, is what I'm trying to say. And I can't stress that enough. I really didn't know. So I got in more trouble with Snowright's server. We got into like 3 or 4 arguments. I really forgot what most of the arguments were about because they were some over stuff that was so small. And then I had an allegation moment where I had allegations on me, and Snowray couldn't have me in his server for safety reasons, which after a few years I found out that was for him to cover himself. Basically to cover his own ass. So he basically used me as like a getaway. And I didn't know that. So now we're going to more recent. So 2023 rolls over. I'm 19 at that time. And the first thing that Snowright says is, oh, this is all great. You can come back on the server. You can do what you want. You just can't be on the moderation team. I was like, okay, that's fine. I mean, I like socializing with you because you're one of my friends. Quote unquote friends. So I was kind of starting to get unsure, and I also used Twitter a lot of Twitter. I think I actually took a few breaks from Rec Room and played Black Ops 4 because I was trying to get nostalgia from like being 17 and playing that when I first moved into the apartments. And I was also playing Black Ops 3, trying to get world records. And I actually got close to a world record, I just never submitted it. So what happened was, he was dating, I believe it was Rory Pagan, between 2022 and 2023, and she was very manipulative, and she banned me from the server. To which Snowright would secretly talk to me and all that, and how he was sorry. He was sorry for all that. He was sorry for her doing these things. And I was like, Snowright, if you actually care about yourself, you would break up with Pagan. He turned around and he goes, no, 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 no. She actually loves me. I said, okay. Okay. Give it 2 months. Give it 2 months, and I bet you're going to be breaking up. Guess what happened after 2 months? They both separated. How did I know? But that's not the point of this. So basically, things happened, and after the whole Pagan incident, Snowright was in like between 2022 and 2023. He was in like.
You need to get dressed and ready.
Okay. Anyways, before I lost my track of thought, Snowright was into like 2 more relationships at that time, and both of which were younger audiences. He was between 18 and 19, and I was, wait a minute, 17 to 18, right? Because like, okay, when I was 19, he was 18. When I was 20, he was 19. Okay, so I was 17 in 2021, 2, 3. So yeah, I was 19, he was 18. Fully 18 going on 19. And then when I was 20, he was 19. That's right. Okay. So he dated these 2 people. He was 18 going on 19. And they both were, one was 15 and the other was 14, and he would send explicit stuff to them. And I think I actually caught him in a lie. So I turned around and I said, okay, I'm tired. I said, Snow Ray, I don't want to keep, like, defending you. And he goes, but you're a friend, right? I said, yes, I'm a friend, but I'm trying to defend you as much as possible, but how am I supposed to defend you from this? He goes, look, I will pay you to defend me. I didn't take the bait. I went and I told someone, and they said that I need to stop being friends with Snow Ray. And that's when all the drama went down. Videos out on it, and he made an apology video. I'm not gonna say anything about all that, because everybody there, I talked to them. I talked to every victim, and I asked them. I said, "Hey, do you want to be in a video with me explaining the whole situation?" They said no. We care about our safety. I said okay. So I said, okay, I'm gonna just try to do what I can. I kind of forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, the video. Uh, the videos were released, and they're not released to the public. I've personally seen the videos where he apologized, and at the time I was wondering why he deleted his server, and that video explained everything to me, because he had 6 victims basically. And at the time, he was helping me with the whole Roxanne case. If y'all watch the Roxanne videos from my old channel, Snow White, which he changed his name to Crimson after those videos got released, was on there. Like, he was actually on the videos helping me catch predators, even though he was a predator himself. And it still shocks me to this day, because I would have not been of the wiser if I did not see those videos. So after those videos got released and after all them allegations, what did I do? How could I get away from him? Okay. So the video, like I said, the videos get released and all that stuff. I keep having to mute because my grandma keeps coming in here. Okay. He was helping me hunt these people that were bad, and he was one too. He was actually one too. He was worse than Preston. He was actually worse than Preston, and I failed to acknowledge it. Anyways, I tried to get away from them, and they would follow. Crimson was, which is Snow White, would follow me around, and just I could never get away from him. And I was a host on a server, and Crimson did moderate like 2 other servers before the shutdown, which was from Jade, which please don't go and harass Jade. Jade was actually one of the nicest people I've ever met. She was really chill. She was also one of the first Australians that I met. Very nice person. Anyways, Snowray kept going after me, and not really going after me, but like trying to socialize with me. I wanted to get away, and I had other people trying to socialize with me that was also associated with Crimson, and they would go back and tell him everything. Yeah, yes, I'm looking at you, Jay. You knew when to stop, and you didn't. Anyway. Anyways. I don't want to mention that other guy because no, just no, manipulative guy. He faked everything. I absolutely despise that guy, and I'm not even going to say his username. Crimson kept on, and I believe the other person was Nala Love Vibes, which was an age regressor that would voluntarily age regress, which I looked it up, and I talked to a therapist as well about the whole situation, and the therapist flat out said that nobody can voluntarily age regress. It is an act of trauma, and anybody that age regresses that would know that that's their safe space. But if you don't have trauma and you just know when you're going to age regress, that's bad. That's really bad. That's like putting actual people that do have that issue to shame. And Nala used to age regress around kids. Around kids. And that's all I'm going to say. That's all I can really say. So, what did I do? I went and I talked to a very certain person. And that certain person is the one that I'm currently talking to right now. And that person helped me out. And if you are watching this, you know who I'm talking. You know that I'm talking about you. I just want to really say thank you for helping me through that situation. I actually had Snow White was so bad to me to the point where he went and he tried to manipulate me and all that, and he had buddies that would go after me and all that I didn't know that they were going after me, and it got so bad to where I had to fake my own death, and I had to stop using social media as a whole to get away from everything. It took me a year. It took me a whole year to get back on social media because that's how bad it messed me up. 2024 was arguably the worst year of my life. aside from me being 17. 2021 was the okay. If I had to rank between 2021 and 2024 being the worst years of my life, 2021 was arguably the worst year of my life. I will never have a year in my life that's worse than that. Just saying. But wow, I talked about that for 47 minutes. That's actually insane. I think there's a few more things I want to mention about Crimson before I go. And that is, Crimson cannot use social media anymore. He is on the official registry. He was put on the official registry. And he's hopefully never going to come back to the internet. Crimson was put on the registry, is what I'm saying. So he's not coming back. He never will come back. But that's all I'm saying. With that being said, I want to thank everybody for watching me rant about this person, because it has been almost 2 years since I don't really want to cut the stream short, but I will have to for reasons. Anyways, I will see y'all in the next one. Take care, everybody.